Yo yo yo, my Egagasini family, welcome back to the channel. It is your boy, and if you know, we are back with another daily dose of drama, betrayal, and Durban music scene chaos, because Egagasini, Waves of Change, does not know how to give us a boring Thursday. None. Zero. Not one. Now listen, if you are new here, welcome, please subscribe, hit that bell, because we recap every single episode of this show, and honestly, this season has been an emotional rollercoaster since episode 1. We've had a metric dance disaster, we've had a death that's haunting this entire cast, we've had truth or dare going from 3 broke friends in Mzansi to actual stars, and now, we are deep into the fallout. Betrayal at every corner, people. So today's episode 34, picks up right where things left off, and let me tell you, the tension in the Dubai camp, it is at boiling point. We're talking Fume finally starting to smell something rotten in her own house, we've got Egagasini getting absolutely cooked by municipality drama, and Lwandle Records politics are about to blow up in everybody's face. Grab your tea, grab your snacks, because we are getting into it. Let's go. Scene 1, Lwandle Records, morning. Okay, so we open at Lwandle Records, and the vibe? Immediately tense. You can feel it before anyone even says a word, the way the camera lingers on Fume standing in the reception area, arms folded, looking at her staff like she is trying to read their souls. Chilly. See, remember last episode, Senso's been tightening his grip on Truth or Dare, and Fume has slowly been putting 2 and 2 together about what her husband's actually been up to behind closed doors. And now, word has clearly gotten out around the office that something is going on, because people have been whispering. And Fume is done with it. She calls the staff together, and I mean the whole team, receptionists, junior AR people, everybody, and she basically reads them for filth. Not shouting, not dramatic, just that cold, controlled "I built this label with my bare hands and I will not have my business turned into a gossip mill" energy. Honestly, icon behavior. She tells them, in no uncertain terms, that whatever is discussed in those studio walls stays in those studio walls, and if she finds out anyone has been leaking information about contracts, about Truth or Dare, about anything, heads are going to roll. And can we just talk about how good this actress is? Because you can see it on her face, she's not just protecting the business. She knows something's off with Senso. She's not naive. This warning isn't really about the staff, if we're honest, this is Fume trying to seal the cracks before the whole thing comes crashing down around her. I was literally leaning into my screen like, "Ma'am, you already know, don't you?" One of the junior staff members, nervous, sweating, you can tell she's the one who's been running her mouth, tries to defend herself, stammering something about "it wasn't me," and Fume just gives her this look. That slow blink. That "I didn't ask you to explain yourself, I asked you to listen" look. I actually laughed out loud, because we've all had a boss like this, be honest. Host reaction break. Okay, can we just pause for a second, because I need you to understand, Fume finding out about Senso's cheating, about the whole democracy situation, about whatever else this man has been hiding. That is going to be an earthquake episode when it finally drops. I am not ready. I am not ready. Mark my words, we are building to something massive here. Scene 2, the Dubai mansion. Cut to the Dubai mansion, and oh my word, y'all, Njabulo and Sile are creeping around like they own the place. Because remember, they've gained access to the mansion recently, and this episode really leans into how comfortable they're getting. Too comfortable, if you ask me. There's this scene where Sile is wandering through the house, running her fingers along the furniture, just taking it all in, like she's imagining a version of her life where all of this belongs to her. And Njabulo walks in, and there's this awkward, loaded silence between them. Because let's be real, since that kiss, since the accident, since everything that happened with Noxolo, these two carry so much guilt between them. It's basically its own character on the show at this point. Njabulo tries to make small talk, tries to act normal, but you can see he's spiraling internally. He brings up, carefully, whether they should even be in this house right now, given everything. And Sile, in classic Sile fashion, brushes it off. She's like, we deserve this, after everything we've been through, and I'm sitting here like, girl. You do not deserve anything after what happened to Noxolo. The audacity is unmatched, honestly, but also this is exactly why I can't look away from this character. She's toxic, but she's compelling. Then, and this is where it gets good, they hear a sound downstairs. Footsteps. And the panic on their faces. Chef's kiss acting, I'm telling you. They think they've been caught. They scramble to hide, and it turns out, false alarm, it's just one of the house staff. But that moment of pure terror tells you everything about where their heads are at. These two are not okay. Guilt is eating them alive, and it's only a matter of time before it catches up to them for real. Scene 3, Kidusezi and the municipality drama. Now this is the part of the episode that had me stressed, because we cut over to Kidusezi, and, okay, for those who don't remember, Kidusezi's been dealing with mounting financial pressure alongside Gogo Shozi, right? Their little business, their store, everything they've built has been hanging by a thread. Well, today, it officially goes from bad to worse. Kidusezi is at the municipal offices, and he's trying to sort out what looks like an issue with permits or unpaid fees. The details are a little vague in this scene, honestly, they keep us guessing, but what's crystal clear is that he is getting nowhere. The municipal official he's dealing with is giving him the runaround, classic bureaucracy nonsense, stamping papers, sending him from one counter to another, and you can feel Kidusezi's blood pressure rising with every single scene cut. There's this moment where he just sits down on a bench outside the offices, head in his hands, and you genuinely feel for him. Because this isn't a rich character throwing a tantrum, this is a man who has worked so hard, who's watched Gogo Shozi struggle right alongside him, and now the very system that's supposed to help small businesses is choking the life out of them. He calls Gogo Shozi to update her, and honestly, this might be one of the more emotional phone calls of the season so far. He doesn't want to worry her, so he's trying to sound optimistic, but his voice cracks just slightly, and Gogo Shozi, being the sharp woman she is, immediately clocks that something's wrong. She doesn't push, though. She just tells him to come home, that they'll figure it out together like they always do. I don't know about you, but I felt that one in my chest. This show does such a good job of balancing the glossy music industry drama with these grounded, working-class storylines, and honestly, sometimes the Kidusezi and Gogo Shozi scenes hit harder than anything happening at Umlalo Records. Host reaction break. Are you guys feeling this too? Because I need someone to start a GoFundMe for these two in real life, I'm not even kidding. The municipality storyline is giving me so much anxiety, and I don't even know exactly what the debt is about yet. That's the genius of it. They're keeping us in suspense on the details while hitting us with all the emotional weight. Brilliant writing, honestly. Scene 4, Truth or Dare Rehearsal Studio. Back at the studio, and this is where the tension from scene 1 really starts to simmer into something bigger. We get a rehearsal scene with Truth or Dare, and it is not giving harmony, my friends. Njabulo shows up late, no surprise there, given what we just watched at the mansion, and Lwandle is clearly frustrated, arms crossed, tapping her foot. And can we talk about Lwandle for a second? Because this woman has been carrying so much this season. The guilt over the accident, the unresolved feelings for Njabulo, now watching him and Sile get closer while she's stuck on the outside of whatever's happening between them. It's giving heartbreak. It's giving betrayal. It's giving when is this girl going to get a win? During rehearsal, There's a tense back and forth about creative direction. Njabulo wants to push the group in a new sound direction, something more personal, more raw, and Lwandle pushes back, saying it feels like he's trying to process his own guilt through the music instead of thinking about what's best for the group. And OOF. That line hit different, because she's not wrong. Everything Njabulo's been doing since the accident has this undertone of trying to outrun what happened, and Lwandle just said it straight to his face. Sile, predictably, jumps in to defend Njabulo, and now we've basically got a full-blown rehearsal argument happening, with the group's manager hovering nearby looking like his blood pressure is also through the roof. Everyone's blood pressure is up this episode, honestly, it's an epidemic. This is also where we get a subtle little hint that ties back to scene 1. One of the studio assistants is lingering near the door during the argument, clearly listening in a little too closely, and I want you to remember that face, because with Fume's warning about leaks fresh in our minds, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think the show is setting up exactly who's been running their mouth, and it might come back to bite this rehearsal drama in a big way. Scene 5, Oyolana and Hubo. Okay, we need a little breather from all this tension, and thankfully the show gives us one with an Oyolana and Hubo scene, because if you've been watching, you know these two have had this frustrating will they won't they, near-miss energy going on, always in the same place at the same time but somehow never actually connecting. Well, today, they finally cross paths properly. It happens almost by accident. Oyolana is dealing with her own stuff, still processing that shame and the fallout from the boxing tournament, clearly still not feeling like she belongs anywhere, and she ends up at this little spot, maybe near the studio, maybe a coffee stand nearby. It's kept casual, and Hubo is there too, probably still riding the high or the stress from his own money troubles. They actually talk this time. No misconnection, no comic near-miss, real conversation. Hubo, in his usual awkward but endearing way, tries to make her laugh, and honestly, for a second, it works. You see Ilanga's walls come down just slightly. It's a small moment, but after weeks of these two just missing each other, it feels huge. My inner shipper was kicking and screaming, not going to lie. But, and you knew there was a but coming, the conversation gets interrupted before it can go anywhere real. Someone calls Oyolana away, some obligation pulling her back into a spiral of shame and self-doubt, and Hubo's left standing there again, watching an opportunity slip through his fingers. The show is dragging this out, and honestly, as frustrating as it is, I respect the slow burn. When these two finally get their moment, it's going to hit so much harder. Scene 6, Fume starts connecting dots. Now we're building to the real gut punch of the episode. We come back to Fume, later in the day, going through some paperwork in Senso's office, maybe looking for something totally unrelated, an invoice, a contract, who knows, and she stumbles across something that doesn't add up. A discrepancy. A name that shouldn't be there. Something small, but something that makes her pause. And the camera holds on her face for what feels like forever. No dialogue. Just Fume, staring at this piece of paper, and you can see the gears turning. This is a woman who has spent this whole season giving her husband the benefit of the doubt, trying to hold her family and her business together, and here, right here, is the moment the mask starts slipping off his face, not hers. She doesn't confront him. Not yet. That's not her style. She's strategic, she's careful. Instead, she quietly puts the document in her bag, and there's this steely look in her eyes that tells you she is going to investigate this herself before she says a single word to anyone. Guys, this is the moment. I've been waiting for Fume to start putting things together for weeks, and now that it's actually happening, I am shaking. Because once Fume Dubé decides to dig, she is going to find everything, the cheating, the democracy situation, all of it. And when that bomb goes off, it is going to take out this entire family. Host reaction break. I need everyone in the comments right now telling me, do you think Fume already suspects the cheating specifically, or do you think she's about to uncover something even bigger, like the whole democracy stealing their music situation? Because either way, this woman is about to become the most dangerous person in this show, and I am here for it. Scene 7, Kidusisi returns home. Family tension. We cut back to Kidusisi arriving home, and the mood is heavy. Gogo Shozi is waiting for him, and even though he tries to keep his usual brave face, she can see straight through it, because that's what these two do for each other, they see through the performance. She sits him down, and this time, he can't hold it in anymore. He tells her the full extent of what's happening with the municipality, and honestly, the details stay a little tantalizingly vague again, which I think is intentional, because the show wants us worried without giving us the full picture yet, keeping us guessing about just how bad this is going to get. But what is clear is that if this isn't sorted, they could lose the store, lose everything they've built. Gogo Shozi doesn't panic, though, and this is why I love her as a character. She takes his hand, and she reminds him of everything they've survived before. There's this beautiful little moment of quiet strength between them, the kind of scene that doesn't need shouting or crying to hit hard. It's just two people who've weathered storms before, bracing for another one, together. But then, and here's your cliffhanger tease for this storyline, there's a knock at the door. And it's not who they expect. The episode doesn't fully reveal who's on the other side before we cut away, but from the way Gogo shows his face changes. This is not a friendly visitor. My gut says this ties back into the municipality mess somehow, maybe someone connected to the debt, maybe an inspector, maybe something even more personal. We shall see. Scene 8, closing scene, Umlalo Records, night. And we close out the episode back at Umlalo Records, at night, empty studio, Jacinto alone, going over paperwork of his own, completely unaware that his wife is now on to him. There's this dramatic irony hanging over the whole scene, because we, the audience, know Fume found something, and we're watching Senso just going about his business like everything's fine, humming to himself, looking pleased with how he's tightened his grip on Truth or Dare. He gets a phone call, we don't hear who it is, just his side of the conversation, and his tone shifts. Something about handling it before it becomes a problem. Vague. Ominous. Classic soapy cliffhanger dialogue that tells you just enough to make your mind race. And then, BAM, the episode cuts to black right as he hangs up the phone, that tense theme music kicks in, and we are left with so many questions heading into tomorrow. Wrap-up speculation segment. Okay, so let's break down where this leaves us, because there is a lot cooking for tomorrow's episode. Number 1, Fume. She has evidence now, or at least the beginning of it. I genuinely think we are maybe 1, 2 episodes away from her either confronting Senso directly, or going full detective mode and digging deeper before she strikes. Either way, I think this leak warning to the staff at the top of the episode is going to come back around, because someone in that office knows something, and I would not be shocked if Fume ends up getting information from an unexpected source, maybe even one of the very staff members she just threatened. Number 2, that mystery visitor at Gogo Shozi and Kidusisi's door. My prediction. This is municipality related, possibly someone coming to see something or deliver bad news about the store. But there's also a small chance, and hear me out, that this could tie into an old storyline resurfacing, someone from the past showing up right when they're at their most vulnerable. Drama loves bad timing, and this show is no exception. Number 3, Njabulo, Sile, and Lwandle. That rehearsal blow-up is not over. With the studio assistant potentially eavesdropping and Fume's leak crackdown looming, I think we are heading toward a moment where the group's internal drama becomes public, maybe even reaches Senso or Fume directly, and that could accelerate everything. And number 4, Oyolona and Hubo. Look, I don't think we're getting a full reunion tomorrow, but I do think that almost moment is going to keep nagging at both of them. Call it a hunch, but I think we are building toward a bigger confrontation or connection sometime very soon. Honestly, this episode was a masterclass in slow burn tension. Nothing exploded today, no huge confession, no dramatic reveal, but everything moved. Every single storyline took one more step toward collision, and that's what makes this show